a lot of the students might be new to G20, won't know what G20 exactly is, so I'll introduce that to you. So someone rightly said, regardless of where we live or what language we speak, a smile has the incredible power to heal. Everyone smiles in the same language, and that's what brings us all together. Now let's begin this inspiring session with the ringing of the World Peace Bell, soon. So namaste delegates. On behalf of the G20 Interfaith Forum, in collaboration with MIT World Peace University and the Interfaith Alliance for Safer Communities, I, Vishwesh Paresh Modkoikar, your host, welcomes you to this magnificent Gautam Buddha Hall. Can we have a round of applause for this? The G20 Interfaith Forum, launched in 2014 during Australia's G20 presidency, brings together diverse religious communities to influence global agendas. By uniting visionary leaders, it seeks innovative solutions, fosters dialogues, and inspires positive change. This summit, held in Pune, India this time at the World Peace Dome, is a crucial opportunity to promote global peace and holistic development, considering religious perspectives for a more inclusive, peaceful, and sustainable world. This forum will offer a platform for leaders, representatives of various organizations, government officials, and the civil society to come together to share experiences and provide added emphasis to suggestions identified throughout the year in preparation for the G20 summit that is being held in New Delhi right now, shortly after the G20 Interfaith Forum concludes. So talking about our topic. So as we gather here today in a world brimming with potential, it is both a privilege and a responsibility to address a topic that resonates deeply with the essence of this gathering. It seeks to address pressing global issues, and one of the significant themes it explores is the role of business in peace. This topic highlights the pivotal role that businesses and corporations play in promoting peace and harmony on a global scale. In a world often marred by conflicts and disparities, businesses have the potential to be powerful agents of positive change. Economic stability and prosperity are intrinsically linked to peace, and businesses can contribute significantly to both. Firstly, they provide livelihoods and economic opportunities, reducing the risk of social unrest and conflicts caused by poverty and unemployment. Moreover, businesses can actively engage in conflict preventions and resolution efforts through diplomacy and economic incentives. This G20 Interfaith Summit recognizes that responsible and ethical business practices are essential for sustainable peace. This includes promoting fair labor practices, supporting environmental sustainability, and respecting human rights. Multinational corporations in particular have the reach and influence to affect positive change across borders. In conclusion, the role of business in peace is a crucial topic within the context of the G20 Interfaith Summit. It emphasizes the responsibility of businesses in promoting peace through ethical practices, economic stability, and interfaith dialogue. By recognizing this significant impact that corporations can have on global peace, the summit fosters discussions and collaborations that have the potential to create a more harmonious and prosperous world. Thank you. So without further ado, let's begin with the ringing of the World Peace Bell. I would like to invite all the delegates to please join us for the ringing of the World Peace Bell. Everyone, can we have a huge round of applause for them? This is most certainly one of the most auspicious parts of this session, and we'll be having a lot more further. Thank you, delegates. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. So let's begin. First of all, I would like to introduce our beloved session coordinator, Mr. Ravi Shankar Sahu, professor at the School of Business, MIT WPU. Can we have a huge round of applause for him?
Thank you, Vishwesh. A very good morning to our wonderful guests and very knowledgeable audiences that is sitting over here. On behalf of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, World Peace University, I wish to welcome all our guests and audience to this historical monument of peace, the World Peace Dome. Ladies and gentlemen, as the topic suggests, role of business in peace. I was fortunate to attend a convention on the Silk Road, which was organized by UNESCO in Turkmenistan. And I was astonished to understand how trade and commerce on the Silk Road initiated peace, harmony, exchange on the Silk Road. So a lot of us must have seen Kushti Pehlwani, the wrestling, the traditional wrestling in India. I would like to bring it to your notice that wrestling in India is known as Kushti. You know what do they call it in Iran in the language Persian? Kushti Pehlwani. So with trade and commerce, the exchange of language happened, the exchange of traditional sports and games happened, our cultures and rituals went to the West, and a lot came from the West. So the most important aspect involved into the whole journey was travel and trade and commerce. And that is what we are here to discuss. I wish to welcome, first and foremost, the moderator of the session, Mr. Brian Grimm. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Then we have with us Ms. Suki Singh, Manager of Technical Consulting and Executive Vice President of Salesforce, Faithforce Global Equity Group from Hyderabad. Then we have Professor Kiran Yadavji, Vice President of India Chapter of the International Institute of Peace through Tourism, and he has come all the way from Mumbai. Then we have Mr. Harshal Javale, Vice President, Zensar Technology, Pune, India. We also have Dr. Prashant Pansare, Founder and Global CEO, Intellement Global Group, Pune, India. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really looking forward to this insightful discussion today. Thank you very much.
Well, good morning. Now, this session you must pay for. Remember, the first one was free. Okay, joking. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We'll begin with felicitations. This is also free.
All right, moving on. We'll have a short film being played right now about our topic. Please, can we have the short film? I think we have a short delay. Let's just wait for a minute or two. Okay, here we go.
This session is based on the role of business in peace. Dr. Brian Grimm will be leading a panel at the G20 Interfaith Forum. The panel describes how business is a powerful force for interfaith understanding and peace. Business can make significant contributions to advancing interfaith understanding and peace, both through core business and outreach activities. It is based on a vision of the world's largest industry, travel and tourism, becoming the world's first global peace industry, and the belief that every traveler is potentially an ambassador for peace. A primary goal of the IIPT is to mobilize the travel and tourism industry as a leading force for poverty reduction. In this session, we will discuss the role of business in peace.
Considering I hope everyone enjoyed this video a lot, can we have a huge round of applause for the IT team? Okay. Moving on to the introduction. Can we have the PowerPoint presentation, please? All right, starting with our main panelist, Mr. Brian J. Grimm, founding president of the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. Mr. Brian J. Grimm is an inspiring and dynamic personality renowned globally for his extensive, admirable accolades. He holds a doctorate in quantitative sociology from Penn State, has authored numerous articles and books. He is former chair of the World Economic Forum's Global Council on the Role of Faith, and a speaker at Davos. He previously worked as a senior researcher and director of international data at the Pew Research Center in Washington, D.C. He was instrumental in setting up the first Western-style business school in the USSR. He is also the global chairman of Dare to Overcome, which hosts the Global Business and Intercultural Peace Award. He also is on the advisory board of Notre Dame University Law School's Religious Liberty Initiative and the advisory board for Brandeis University's Caplency Innovation Lab. Brian worked closely with the Business for Peace platform of the UN Global Compact. He is also a research associate at Boston University's Institute on Culture, Religion, and World Affairs, non-resident scholar at the Institute for the Studies of Religion, ISR, at Baylor University. He played the role of an advisor for the Religion and Geopolitics project of the Tony Blair Faith Foundation. He was an associate scholar at the Religious Liberty Project at Georgetown University. Now, moving on to the felicitation of Mr. Brian Grimm. Now, I would like to invite upon Dr. Ravi Shankar Sahu to felicitate Mr. Brian Grimm. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Thank you, Mr. Brian Grimm. Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Moving on, we have Ms. Suki Singh, the Manager of Technical Consulting, Executive Vice President of Salesforce, Faithforce Global Equity Group, Hyderabad. She is a dynamic individual with a diverse background and a passion for making a positive impact on the world. She embodies creativity, drive, and a strong humanitarian spirit. Her journey into the tech world began in 2016 after she obtained a degree in information systems from the Kelley School of Business, Indiana University, Bloomington. She specialized in business analytics and intelligence. In essence, she is a dedicated professional, a global citizen, and a compassionate advocate for equality, all rolled into one remarkable individual. Can we have a huge round of applause for that? So now I would like to invite Ms. Pratibha Upadhyay to felicitate Ms. Suki Singh. Thank you, Ms. Sukhi Singh. Thank you, Dr. Pratibha Upadhyay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, moving on. We have Mr. Prashant Pansare. He is an MBA graduate specializing in marketing and finance and a mechanical engineer by education. He is a visionary innovator and entrepreneur. He made the bold decision to transition from a corporate career to entrepreneurship, founding Intellimint as a bootstrap company in 2004. He has a great experience in big data analytics. He's a well-known figure in the big data analytics industry with a deep understanding of its intricacies and potential. Under his guidance, Intellimint Technologies has flourished into a prominent player in the global landscape of big data science, analytics, and IoT. His leadership has been instrumental in positioning Intellimint Group as a niche player in these cutting-edge fields. Moving on to innovation and technology disruption. His leadership has led to the establishment of Intellimint's Innovation Lab, a hub for disruptive ideas in the realms of technology R&D, open source innovations, and product engineering. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Now, I would like to invite upon Dr. Rajiv Sengupta to felicitate Mr. Prashant Pansare. Guys, a little enthusiasm, please. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? Thank you, Mr. Prashant Pansare. Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Sengupta. Moving on, we have Mr. Kiran Yadav, the Chairman and Managing Director at Success Triangles. Experienced advisor and academician, skilled in negotiation, business planning, operations management, market research, and management. Mr. Kiran Yadav is the Chairman and Managing Director for Success Triangles. Previously, he was the President and founder of APPGA Global Distribution in India. He has worked as an advisor for Sky International Aviation Services, Aviation Careers Academy, and Livewire Training and Management Services Private Limited. He is also a renowned faculty known for training management students of the highest order. Mr. Yadav worked as a regional manager for South Asia for IATA India. He's also worked for Air India as an assistant station superintendent. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Without further ado, I would like to invite upon Dr. Umesh Srivastav to felicitate Mr. Kiran Yadav. Everyone. Thank you, sir. And finally, our final panelist, but not the last, Mr. Harshal Jawal, Vice President of Zensar Technologies, Pune, Regional Director at Heartfulness Institute, Industry Faculty and Mentor for AI Great Learning, Certified Life Transformation Coach. So many things at once. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Mr. Harshal Jawal is a seasoned technology leader with over 22 years of experience in the IT and service industry. He plays a vital role in shaping core IT strategy, pre-sales efforts, software development, support, and integration services. He maintains a forward-looking focus, committed to personal growth and development, consistently conducts annual summer camps for children, and a dynamic professional who combines technological prowess with a passion for leadership and personal growth. Can we have a huge round of applause for him again? I would like to invite upon Dr. Umesh Srivastav to felicitate Mr. Harshil Yadav. Dr. Chetna Mehta. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All right, without further ado, now for the moment everyone has been waiting for this session to start. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce a true visionary in today's world, Mr. Brian Grimm, the founding president of the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. His unique blend of expertise in economics and interfaith dialogue has forged a remarkable path towards global understanding. He embodies the belief that religious freedom and ethical business practices can not only coexist, but also thrive together. His work inspires us to embrace diversity as a driving force for positive change. Now, without further ado, let's welcome the guiding light behind the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation, Mr. Brian Grimm.
Well, for those of you who were with us yesterday, do you remember how I began my speech? How? Yeah, to ask the students to stand up so we can felicitate you. So if I can, now I'm going to ask Suki to do a selfie with all of us, with the students standing. And this comes from my experience in Davos at the World Economic Forum. Several years ago, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, I got to know him, and I got to know one of his mayors, and I found out he's very good at taking selfies. So we had a meeting with Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, and I said, I hear you're good at selfies. Could I have a selfie with you? And I held up my camera to try to take it, and I'm terrible. Terrible selfie. And he said, give me that. And he took it, and we have a great selfie. So I know I'm terrible, but Suki is wonderful at selfies. So to felicitate the students, just all the students stand up. Everyone else can stay down, and we'll get a wonderful picture together to felicitate you and your future. Everybody hands up. Yeah. So one of the amazing things about business is people. You know, you have these companies, and you think of Salesforce, you think of Google, you think of Dell Technologies, you think of Tata. And what do you think of? You think of, well, computers or airplanes or cars or things like that. But it's all people, people inside companies. And the people are a powerful force for interfaith understanding and peace. So I want to share some of my experiences working with many businesses as an introduction, and then Suki will talk about her journey within Salesforce, the largest customer service software company in the world. And then we'll go to Kiran, who will talk about the travel industry. And all of you travel, and you can be an ambassador for peace. And then I'll ask Herschel and Prashant to respond to their presentations and give their thoughts and perspectives, because the IT industry, which you both come from, is one of the biggest players in business and peace. So I'll give 4 examples and then turn the floor to them. So with the United Nations Global Compact, who knows what that is? 1, 2. So it's the largest membership organization for companies to participate in sustainable development and the initiatives of the United Nations. More than 6,000 companies are members of the Global Compact. We worked with them to do case studies on how business is a powerful force for building interfaith understanding and peace. And we came up with 4 different ways. And then we inaugurated awards for business leaders advancing these values. If you were here yesterday, you saw King Hussein, the CEO of Span Construction, the largest metal construction company in the world. He's a great sponsor of this conference, and he'll sponsor our conference next month in New Delhi, the Dare to Overcome Business Unity in Diversity Conference. So King himself began in Mumbai as a Muslim boy growing up in Mumbai, and then his mother raised their children alone, and she earned the living by sewing machine, a Singer sewing machine sewing. She saved up money, sent him to America. He got to America and he ended up studying at Brigham Young University. And he studied engineering, and then he went on to establish the best metal construction company in the world. Well, he married a girl from Brigham Young University, and later he became a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that's some of the connection you see here. That's a great church in the United States. I'm Catholic. I'm very good friends with people in their church, and they work for this interfaith understanding. So he's a business leader that has taken his efforts, his philanthropy, his engagements to advance this. So that's one way business leaders. And with UN, we started these awards. And we'll give awards next month to business leaders like Nadir Godrej, Godrej Industries. Everybody knows Godrej, right? So he's a great proponent of in the workplace, including everyone, whether you're Muslim or you're Hindu or you're Christian or you're Sikh or you're Jain or you're Baha'i or you're an atheist. Everyone is welcome. So he will receive an award. And Sangeeta Jindal, I think you know the JSW group and foundation, so the Jindals, she'll receive an award. She has helped to rebuild the historic synagogue, the Jewish synagogue in Mumbai to UNESCO World Standards. She's also helped to rebuild the David Sassoon Library in Mumbai. And she's restoring the Mughal gardens. And people ask him, why are you doing this? You're a Hindu. She said, no, the religious heritage of all of our religions is what makes India strong. So these are the messages. But I want to talk about the 4 ways, just briefly. The first is businesses can use and do use marketing and expertise to advance peace and bridge borders. This happened a few years ago. Coca-Cola, you know Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola did a small world campaign because they wanted to sell Coca-Cola in India and Pakistan. They don't want Coca-Cola to be the Indian Coke and then Pakistan won't drink. or the Pakistan drink Coca-Cola, and then India won't drink, right? So how do we bridge these? So they said, let's have Coke machines, one in Lahore and one in New Delhi, and they have a video. And in order to get your Coca-Cola in New Delhi, you have a video feed with Lahore, and you have to draw peace signs, love, dance with the people in Lahore, and then you get your Coke. You have to make friends with someone, and the same in Lahore. You know, they have to, and after this experience, the people said, well, we don't want these walls. You know, we want to have peace. We want to have brotherhood. Coca-Cola, who could imagine? What a powerful, you can Google it, Small World Machine, and a beautiful story. Millions have watched that video. The second, incentivizing innovation. Okay, everyone knows Google. In fact, Google is a verb. You Google it, right? I'm going to Google it. Well, for many years, Google said no. In our workplace, no religion. You know, we don't do religion. Tony Blair, you know, worked with Tony Blair. When he was prime minister, he said, we don't do religion in the UK. But Tony Blair does religion. And, you know, he actually became a Catholic after he left being prime minister. And so he does religion. He said he didn't, but he really does. Google said no religion. But what happened? Well, if somebody wanted vegetarian food because of their religious convictions, Google wasn't paying attention. And then you have Hindus and Jains and others thinking, this is not the place for me. No kosher food. The Jewish people thinking, they don't want me here. No halal food. The Muslims thinking, they don't want me here. You can't, and then pretty soon Google realized that we're losing some of our best people. They did a 180-degree turn, and now Google is one of the most faith-friendly companies in the world. They have set up their inter-belief network. So you can have Hindu chapters, Muslim chapters, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist. They have any group that wants to form. They have interfaith chapter, and it's beliefs, so that it's not just religion, but people that have other beliefs as well. And now, how does that relate to innovation? Well, Google Doodles never were religious. You have Diwali, and on Diwali, the Google Doodle says nothing about Diwali. They're afraid to make a mistake. Christmas, nothing about Christmas. Eid, nothing about Eid. Ramadan, nothing about Ramadan. Nothing about the Diwali, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the Jewish holidays, but Yom Kippur and so forth, Hanukkah. Well, after this, they said, okay, now that we're faith-friendly, we can reach out to our Jewish, they call them Juglers. Everybody at Google's a Googler. So they're called the Juglers. And now, for all the holidays, they have Google Doodles, they have special celebrations. And, you know, of the billions of customers, I mean, do you all use Google? Are you religious? Is religion important to you? Probably. And so now they can better serve people who have faiths because they've opened that door to faith. And that led to new innovations in products and services. I'm going to Mumbai this weekend, and I want to find a Catholic church. How will I find it? I'll Google it, right? So they realize religious people are big users. So it relates to innovation. Incubating and catalyzing social entrepreneurship. So in July, we had a meeting at 10 Downing Street. Who knows what 10 Downing Street is? It's where the British Prime Minister has his office. And of course, you know who the British Prime Minister is, right? Yeah, the first Hindu Prime Minister of India. So we're having and who could imagine that? I mean, could you imagine that? No, really. Could your parents imagine that? No. I mean, you had British leaders of India, but not a Hindu leader. I mean, isn't that amazing? So they're very interested in this idea of the connection between faith and business. We're going to have a big event on November 20th in London at Salesforce Tower and we've invited the Prime Minister to speak about the things we're talking about today, about how that's good for business and innovation. Well, one of the companies that we work with is called Baringa Consulting. You haven't heard of that, probably. It's a consulting firm, maybe 3,000 consultants around the world. They, when they saw that we're having this business and interfaith emphasis, they said, well, let's set up social entrepreneurship around this. So they've donated employees' time. So every week, tonight, I have a planning meeting with people from Salesforce, Dell, Google, Rolls-Royce, Thames Water, OVO Energy. We're planning for our event, and Baringa Consulting is hosting that. And one of their great, and so they're helping us to see how we can sustain this initiative in the UK and expand it globally. So business can engage in social entrepreneurship, helping support civil society. And I'll say one more thing about that. Businesses engage with NGOs, private foundations like mine. You know, we have an index that measures the faith friendliness of companies, and businesses participate. Salesforce participates, and it's a competition. And I was talking to SAP wants to be #1 on the index. Oh yeah, Brazil. In Brazil, once they start these faith-friendly initiatives, like SAP has done, they spread globally. These are global initiatives. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, in Brazil with the SAP. So, you know, when they engage socially, they start looking at social issues like human trafficking. And Dell Technologies has a global project to inform people about human trafficking. Intel has used their technology and working with an NGO to map every report of human trafficking in the world. And then you start seeing, oh, this report is here, here, another one here, another one here, here, here. And then they can start zeroing in and catching the ringleaders of human trafficking. So innovation and cooperation. And that's the vice president of Dell that I work with, Rick E. He goes by Rick E. He's also a Catholic, very, very devout person. I mentioned the Baringa Consulting firm in the UK. The managing partner director of that, he's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who's helping to sponsor this conference. So people of faith have big influence for good. So when you think about your business, think about how you can impact it. So I'm going to turn the floor to Suki Singh now. As you heard her introduction, but really I want to emphasize just how much of a force she is, energetic force. In fact, she's the executive vice president of Salesforce's Faith Force. When we introduced this at the British Parliament, Lady Verma was hosting us. She's a Sikh originally from India. And Salesforce started talking about what they do, and that they have their equality group, this employee group called Faith Force. And Lady Verma said, every company needs a Faith Force. And that's true, right? We can't, look at Dr. Karan. He says the unity of science and religion or spirituality. Well, what does science except business, right? I mean, look at the businesses. It's a science that you're promoting and developing. So Suki is that Faith Force. She's the executive vice president of Faith Force worldwide. So the president is in the United States. He's originally from Australia. The executive vice president's in India. So what a great partnership, the US and India. Suki, you're it up.
Thank you, Dr. Grimm, and thank you so much for having me here. So to all the students here, I would like to share about my upbringing as a Sikh. And to everyone else, hopefully you find some inspiration in this throughout my journey. It's a tale of my upbringing in a Sikh family, a journey that instilled in me great understanding and profound significance of our Sikh identity. The uncut hair, the turban, the kara, and the practice of the 5 Ks, as some of you might know. I once assumed that these aspects of our life were universally ordinary, and for every little child, like it was the same household. Little did I know that we were indeed the minority, and in this regard, we were very few. It's about 0.35% of the global population that is Sikh today. My journey of realization began at the tender age of 6 or 7 when I approached my mother with a seemingly simple request. I wanted my hair to look and resemble like that of a girl in my class that had a fringe. You see, my hair was meticulously plaited into 2 perfectly oiled braids and a look that felt inherently different to me. The response I received from my mother was initially sad and then gradually shifting to disappointment, left me bewildered. At this moment, my grandmother stepped in to enlighten me about the significance of kesh and why we as Sikhs choose not to cut our hair. Sikhs believe that keeping our hair uncut is an outward expression of commitment to the Sikh faith and principles of equality, humanity, and selflessness. We believe that God made our bodies and we must be willing to accept God's gift without altering it. These values have been cornerstone of my upbringing, shaping my identity and worldview. From learning and embracing these Sikh values to growing up in a city like Delhi and a country like India, I became a person who could see and hopefully understand all ways of life. India, a land of 2,000 distinct languages and diverse religious communities, taught me the beauty of diversity and the power of a pluralistic society. India's unique traditions, festivals, cuisines in each state are a tapestry of diversity. India celebrates many festivals like Diwali, Holi, Eid, Christmas, and Navratri, adding vibrant colors to life. It's a land where threads of culture are woven into a magnificent fabric that celebrates differences and harmonizes the symphony of existence. Again, in 2011, I embarked a new chapter of my life as I moved to the United States to study at the Indiana University, Bloomington. Once again, I felt like a 6-year-old girl who didn't know where she fit in. Having my uncles who wore turbans and long beards who had already succeeded as professionals in the United States, I became even more aware of the small percentage and the global population that we Sikhs represent. It was a challenging time during the aftermath of 9/11 for my uncles and aunts, where they often found themselves mistaken for members of another religion. They faced microaggressions and racial discrimination that weighed heavily on their hearts and all of our hearts. This expression made me fearful of studying abroad without the support of a family, but as Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I decided to walk the path of religious education and representation. I became the first Sikh international student ambassador at my university, breaking all barriers for my fellow students from diverse backgrounds. Without boundless enthusiasm and empathy, I started bridging gaps, helping others feel comfortable in their identities and cultures. In 2016, destiny led me to Salesforce, a company that would become the canvas of my aspirations and values. With sweaty palms, cold feet, and a heart beating louder than a drum, I sought blessings from the Indianapolis Gurdwara before my interview. My only ardas, or prayer, was asking God to place me in a company that would let me fulfill the 3 Sikh values that I grew up with. Kirat Karni, which is earning an honest living, Van Chakna, sharing with others, and Naam Japna, focusing on God. Business, my friends, is the most incredible platform for change. This statement echoes in every corner of our global Faith Force community, and I realize its profound truth. Through this realization, I found myself nominated as the Vice President of Faith Force, our equality group at Salesforce, as Mr. Grimm mentioned, with a vision of creating inclusive employee experiences for people of diverse beliefs and worldviews, promoting trust, learning, and religious pluralism. We advocate for global faith communities. We cultivate a culture that drives business impact through courageous conversations that transcends differences, enabling effective leadership and stakeholder connections. We encourage everyone to bring their whole selves to work and recognizing that diversity is in our strength and not a weakness. In retrospect, when I think about it, there are many commonalities which I could think of myself as part of the Salesforce family that wanted to achieve Sarbat the Bhala, which means greatest good of all. Our company values, trust, customer success, innovation, equality, and sustainability were easily relatable for me. Equality, Sikhi promotes the idea of everyone is equal, regardless of gender, race, caste, nationality. If you have ever been to a gurdwara, you see everyone eats langar sitting on the floor. They cover their heads and they remove their shoes without any divide. Everyone is equal in front of the God for us. And similarly, at Salesforce, our CEO, Mark Benioff, recognizes that there's no finish line when it comes to equality. Langar, which is the community kitchen, in Golden Temple, we serve anywhere between 50,000 to 100,000 people every day. The number can significantly increase if there's a festival or, if it's Diwali. And in Salesforce, for the all-time employee giving, till now we have distributed an amount of $368 million. All-time volunteer hours that employees have put in willingly is 8.38 million. This shows why it was so easy for me to blend in and adapt to the corporate culture. And Salesforce promises to plant 1 million trees by 2030. Guru Har Rai Ji, who was the 7th guru of the 10 gurus of the Sikh, he became the leader at the age of merely 14. And he is known to be the one that planted trees all over India, spreading the Sikh religion. Ultimately, I strive to continue learning on this path of accidental career in faith and business leadership. I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Brian Grimm for his unwavering support and belief in the work for corporate diversity initiatives that promote mutual respect, engagement among different groups at the workplace. I also want to thank my fellow panelists and the esteemed audience here for allowing me to share my journey with you all. Let us stand united, embracing our unique identities and backgrounds while working towards a future where everyone can bring their whole selves to the table, contributing to a more inclusive, empathetic, and harmonious world. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Suki. Wonderful comments. And if you want to choose a company, you can go on our website, religiousfreedomandbusiness.org, and you can see our rankings of the most faith-friendly. And then that might help you make a decision if you have a choice. So Salesforce, great opportunity. Thank you. So whether you go into business or not, everyone travels. It might just be to the next town, it might be to the next state, it might be to the next country, or all around the world. How does being a traveler, how can that build peace? So, Kiran Yadav, please share with us.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Can all of you hear me? Okay. Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Excellent. So firstly, good afternoon to all of you. And thank you, friends, for being co-traveler with me for the day today. Because at the end of the day, we are all travelers on this earth. And being co-travelers for the day makes it more interesting. As our friend said at the beginning, if you wear a smile on your face. Okay? Let me tell you, 90% of Suki's success is from the smile that she gives when she meets you. And now we are trying to relate business to peace. Business, essentially, they say cannot happen without peace. Okay? But peace can be generated by business. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to try and convince you as to how business is a tool for peace. Okay? And I'm going to focus on one single industry, which I know a little bit about, and that's the travel and tourism industry. Do you have an idea of what is the size of the travel and tourism industry? Any one of you in the room? Okay. In the year 2021, when the last census was taken, the total amount of transactions in the travel and tourism industry were 11.1 trillion US dollars, which is roughly equal to 4 times the total economy of India, okay, which is one of the fastest progressing and aspiring to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. So travel and tourism industry actually contributes to approximately 10% of the global GDP. Secondly, it employs probably the maximum number of people in the world, either directly or indirectly. A survey in 2020 showed that if you randomly picked 11 people who are working, you would find that at least one of them would be either directly or indirectly related to the travel and tourism industry. Way back in the year 1986, a gentleman from the US called Dr. Louis D'Amore, okay? We call him a mini Mahatma Gandhi. Louis used to work for United Nations Department of Tourism. And he used to churn out all these statistics and understand the tourism industry. And later on, he got an opportunity to work with the Peace Department of UN. And he put 2 and 2 together, and he says, this is not 4, but this is 40. And he came out with this simple concept called tourism, which is the world's largest industry, has the potential of being the first peace industry of the world. And 2, this will happen provided every single traveler believes that he or she is an ambassador of peace. There was a whole lot of debate that happened between 1986 and 88 because, you know, this earth of ours is always full of contradictions and wars and, you know, beliefs that people want to protect and defend at any cost. So somebody came out with the concept saying, tourism is a tool for terrorism. Because if you want to destruct, you have to travel. And to counter that, Louis put together something called as the pledge of a peaceful traveler to distinguish between ambassadors of peace and destructors of peace. And he formulated something called as the International Institute for Peace through Tourism. If you give me a minute, I would like to read that pledge to all of you so you will understand where I'm coming from. Okay. The IIPT Credo of Peaceful Traveler says, grateful for the opportunity to travel and experience the world. And because peace begins with the individual, I affirm my personal responsibility and commitment to journey with an open mind and a gentle heart. Accept with grace and gratitude the diversity I encounter. Revere and protect the natural environment which sustains all life. Appreciate all cultures I discover. Respect and thank my hosts for their welcome. Offer my hand in friendship to everyone I meet. Support travel services that share these views and act upon them. And by my spirit, words, actions, encourage others to travel the world in peace. In 1988, the United Nations adopted this pledge as a universal pledge of the peaceful traveler. And that's how IIPT then rolled out its efforts to make everybody realize that the business of travel and tourism is actually the business of peace. So, Before, let me pay my homage to the host today who have invited us here, the G20 Interfaith Forum, for having organized this, Shaping World Peace Sustainable Development through Interfaith Harmony Symposium. My special thanks to MIT World Peace University, Interfaith Alliance for Safer Communities, Religious Freedom and Business Foundation for allowing me to present my thoughts, and above all, you, dear friends, for being here to allow me to share what I think is something that will make a change in all our lives. We've been hearing all along, one earth, one family, one future. Does that make sense? Are we in a position to make sense out of it? Will it happen unless every single individual on earth thinks the same way? If we all are going to breathe the same air that everyone else is going to have their share from, if we are going to drink the same water that everyone else is going access to, then no matter whatever conservation factors we apply, it's not going to work unless all of us do it jointly and severally. So, though we have big aspirations to make it happen, that also brings a bigger responsibility. And the bigger responsibility means that you have to be able to get out and get everyone to buy in and practice. And that's how we could create a great, brighter future. So let me come back to how the travel and tourism industry can do this. Okay? There are three tenets of peace, especially in a country like India. One is diversity. The second is equity. Equity is not equality. What is the difference between equity and equality? Any idea? Yes? Absolutely. You know, one shoe fits all is equality. But having a shoe that fits the foot of every individual and makes him or her comfortable is equity. And when we talk of peace, it cannot happen without inclusion. I was listening to a lot of speakers yesterday, and there were few formulas that came in across. Technology is the driving engine of business, and scientific research is what creates new technologies and new businesses. When you add them together, you get development and success. And this development and success applied to diversity, equity, and inclusion can lead you to what we call as binding people together, sharing the concerns and sharing the responsibility. Brian brought out a few points in terms of what are the four main areas that research has shown help businesses sustain harmony. One of the points was being able to reach across and broadcast, like Coca-Cola, okay? In the travel and tourism industry, okay, bridges across borders is a given. You cannot travel unless you explore, unless you reach out. So that's the integral part of the industry, point number one. The moment you step out of your borders, you are into a land where you either have to blend in or it is not going to make sense anymore. Two, so we all agree that travel and tourism industry brings people together, right? Innovation. When we talk about innovation, we talk about intercultural and interreligious innovation. Let me tell you, just if I take the example of India, do you know who are the top travel businesses in India? By any chance, any one of you can throw some names possible? Okay, let me share with you. The top 5 travel companies in India are actually from top 5 different faiths. Okay? If you've heard about a company called Travel Boutique, okay, which is probably one of the largest companies in this country today that handles travel and tourism, it's owned by a gentleman called Mr. Nijavan. Okay? The number 2 company is called Ria Tours and Travels. It's owned by a gentleman called Mr. Girish Thampi, who's a Christian. If you look at the number 3 company, it's called Akbar Travels. You know, whenever you travel, you're on the airport and the taxis, you'll be seeing Akbar Travels. It's owned by a gentleman called Abdul Nasir. Okay. So I think travel automatically integrates the principles of bringing people together. It has no barriers. It's not just the question of religion, but there are no entry barriers, there are no exit barriers. There are no sex barriers, there are no age barriers. It doesn't matter, you can start your business with a briefcase and you can be as large as 60,000 crores as some of these companies are. Coming very quickly back as to what IIPT has done to integrate this. We have this, today I heard Rahul Karad saying that, you know, we must have peace parks. Okay, can I get 30 seconds more? Okay, right. IIPT has 550 peace parks across the world. And the concept of the peace park is very simple. Once you step into the peace park, you cannot discuss religion, you cannot discuss anything of conflict. If you want to fight, you have to step out of the peace park. Once you're inside the peace park, that's all you do. So I think it's high time we actually started creating a peace park in MIT. There's plenty of provision for that. The second thing is we have an annual convention where we get students and people across the globe together. We have a consortium which we are trying to revive of 50 universities that do student and faculty exchange in travel and tourism and the peace industry to help people connect and understand. Ultimately, peace means understanding, respecting each other, and being able to live in harmony. So there are several other things that we can talk offline, and for the sake of time, I would stop here and let all of you seep in what I've just said. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank Professor Kiran for these wonderful comments. And just to let you know, at our Dare to Overcome conference next month in New Delhi, Mr. Louis D'Amour, who founded the International Institute for Peace through Tourism, who you work with, will be receiving our Global Business Interfaith Peace Awards. And I think you can see why. So next, we'll turn to Mr. Harshalji, if you would like to respond and give your thoughts.
Thank you, Brian. I'm not going to take more than 3 minutes because I think what Suki and Yadavji has spoken is amazing, amazing. I think these are the stories that really resonate. What I want to do is, do something. We are in the World Peace Dome, and I represent an organization called Heartfulness, which is essentially a yoga organization. The only faith it kind of teaches is having faith in yourself. And it teaches the power of human mind. So I am going to invite you to just follow me for next 2 minutes, because what I'm going to do is connect all our hearts together and try to see what immense peace is there so that we can experience it at an individual level. So I'm just going to invite you to just gently close your eyes Be completely relaxed. Go within yourself. Pay attention to your breathing. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. Now move your attention to the fingers of your feet and imagine that they're getting relaxed. The soles of your feet are also getting relaxed. Your lower legs, knees, both the thighs are relaxed. Now imagine energy from Mother Earth is entering your body through your legs. And just imagine that it is rising up in your body, reaching each and every cell of your body. The earth represents steadiness, and you are now experiencing that steadiness within you. Now move your attention to the lower part of your body. Your seat is getting relaxed, your stomach, all your digestive organs, your chest, the lungs within, the shoulders, everything is relaxed. Now move your attention to your back and imagine each and every muscle of your back is getting relaxed. Any stress or tension in your mind or body is leaving you from the back in form of smoke. Feel that tension going out through the back. Now move your attention to your hands. From the tip of your fingers to your arm, both the hands are getting relaxed. Moving towards your throat, which is getting relaxed. All the parts of your face are getting relaxed. Your chin, mouth, both the cheeks, both the ears, nose, both the eyes, forehead, head. Everything is relaxed. Since your body is relaxed, your mind is also completely relaxed. Now let's move our attention towards our heart, the heart of everything, the heart of our existence. And tell your heart, which works for you 24/7, to relax a little bit. In this relaxed state of your heart, we are now going to imagine that all our hearts are getting connected under this world peace dome. A dome that represents world peace, bringing all the people of the world together. And in our hearts, the peace and bliss that is there is getting amplified. Try to immerse in it for the next 1 minute before I ask you to open your eyes. Bring your mind back to the present moment. Pay attention to your breathing. And whenever you are comfortable, gently open your eyes. And I'd like to conclude with a quote from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, that the path to world peace starts with the peace in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you. And just, I appreciate you bringing that sort of spiritual focus. And actually, in today's workplaces, that's becoming welcome.
Yes.
And Suki didn't share it, but Salesforce and many companies are now having yours is called meditation rooms, serenity rooms, prayer rooms, so that during the day you can take time and sort of recharge. So very appropriate. Thank you, sir. And for our last respondent, and then we'll have any questions from the audience, Prashantji, Please share your reactions and thoughts. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Thank you, Brian, for those wonderful remarks, and I'm spellbound. So before I give my remarks, just imagine he actually gave us a global perspective. Then from that helicopter view, we went into a submarine view from, the global to I, as an individual, with Suki giving her, wonderful insights. And then, there was Kiran, who actually again made us travel all over the world, giving a different perspectives from equity to equality. And then an experiential learning now, recently we had. So probably less than an hour, probably we also have a lot to learn and, good takeaways. Let me bring in, some more dimensions which are important aspect in this, deliberation, that when we are talking about basically the bringing in peace at the workplace, what has happened in past few years, and that has actually changed the world and the course, is that it is not only the workplace, but the workforce and workplace, all three dimensions, post-COVID and post-lockdown have permanently changed. And when we are talking about, the workplace, it is actually at office and at home, connecting digital, and there are work nations that are coming up, right? So there are holiday destinations that allow you, workplaces there, and then you can work from anywhere. Now, when we are talking about, the world peace, let's see that, I was thinking about peace, and I was imagining it like a cake. And I broke that into 3 pieces, right? People, profit, and planet. So what we are talking about, in today's context. So when we are talking about people, understand that we as individuals are going through a transformational change, what has recently happened and what is likely to happen. And this conference also has a lot of students, so I want to, touch upon one very vital aspect, that, peace in that sense, and it is already beautifully covered, that it has to come from first within. It is also the business or your prosperity that will give you, some peace. But it always will start with an individual, I to we. And when we say we, what is your span of control? What is your imagination of that we? India is the host of G20 summit, and the theme, given for this event itself is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Some of the value that we all have been brought up with, especially in India, that we don't, we think that we belong and we owe it back to the planet. So what you sow, you reap. You get what you give. It's the same simple philosophy. So when we are talking about, that individual, it reminds me of a Maslow's theory, that it starts with, you need an economic independence with an opportunity, then you go to the self-esteem, and then self-actualization. Now that self-actualization is the state, what, we have discussed already, is the state of achieving that peace, and it cannot happen in isolation, right? When we talk about diversity and unity, right, or unity in diversity, digital is the way which actually has proven it quite sensibly, quite easily, and widespread, right? So we talk about, this nation, that nation. There is also a concept called Facebook nation, right? World's largest population is on Facebook, and it does not really discriminate, right? Whether it is gender, race, caste, creed, geography, whatever, right? So what is happening is that these are platforms that are bringing people on, one common platform, and that creates, just as a concept, I want you to understand that Facebook nation is India and China population put together, it is still bigger. It also make people think alike, right? So today generation is also going towards, say, minimalistic thinking. The earlier generation was actually going on the possession, right? On a lot on a materialistic thinking. What happens is that when this social change is happening, and as I said, that workforce, workplace, these are changing. Now understand in people, what is your science to spirituality? What is your understanding about your own self, cognitive science or cognitive intelligence about your own self-awareness? And if you understand that, okay, what is that you are wanting? We work in a technology industry, digital, and, it actually helps in simplifying things, right? And we talked about equity and equality. Let me give you a couple of examples, and you'll understand that why business in that sense is a bigger contributor to the peace. Is let me give you an India story, right? We have the UPI as a payment gateway platform by government of India, and there was a criticism or a cynicism at some point in time that government's business is not doing business. But as a regulator, how they can actually create a platform. So in India, you have UID, unique identification number. So you are identified and profiled, and then there is a payment layer that is being added to it, which is a transaction layer that actually allows you to do anything and everything that you want to do. Now let me give you some perspective about what is this UPI and how it has revolutionized India. So there was always divide between India and Bharat. And we are going towards Bharat now. So there is no India as such, but how it can actually bring one identity, but digital can actually get everybody on same platforms, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are rural or urban, whatever is your thinking. Just imagine if you wouldn't have had these technological platforms that would simplify a common citizen life. Imagine you going to a bank to withdraw money for a grocery or a medicine during the lockdown times, right? We all have suffered. So digital is the way forward, but how much digital and for what? So we are again talking about artificial intelligence. The first word itself describes it all, right? It is artificial. So we need that. So supplementing it with digital, you need some of the automation, but then is it really going to bring in that balance? When we talk about profit, let's look at that profit aspects from the governance, risk, and compliance. These three aspects which are very important. So from people to profit, when we are going, as businesses, if you want to be sustainable, you need to give it back to the society, right? And you see that most of the companies, you did mention about the Tata Group, look at what have been their social contributions, right? He also worked for Air India. It was an institution that was started by Tatas, and it has actually, there was a homecoming for Maharaja. Now look at that philanthropy, look at what has been their contribution to the nation building, to the societal change, also to bring in that sustainability. And if you want to be a good corporate citizen, whether it is an organization or an individual, you have to think about it, how you can give back. So the people and profit, and before going to the planet, let me actually give you a very simple analogy, right? Especially for the students. Divide your life in three simple compartments, right? 25, 50, in our age or generation, it was 60 as a retirement age, but I'll say first 25, next 25, 50, and next 25, 75, maybe an average life expectancy. Now, first 25 years of your age is going to be arriving for your real life journey, which is your studying and, getting yourself prepared for your business, your corporate journey and whatnot. Next 25 years is going to be 25 to 50. That's where you're going to be performing, right? You're earning reputation, money, whatever, fame and whatever you want to, do in that time. You're going to be busy. Probably you have to, focus on yourself, your work and all of that. But understand, friends, the next 25 years, which is 50 to 75, is actually the age and a stage in life where feelings are more important, right? Happy or sorrow, accomplished, satisfied, or, stressed. Now, that phase generally is non-editable. You can't right-click and edit that. If you have to change yourself, it is actually going to be in first two phases. The last phase is going to be, whatever you have done, whatever you have given is going to come back. So when you're looking at your personal life in these three phases, the middle phase is something that is actually going to be most crucial, more collaborative, and how you can become what you aspire to become, and then you get what you want, right? And then let me come to the last part, which is the planet, right? So if we have to have a happy life, even when we are not on this planet, what we are leaving behind. If I have to, just look at you from an API lens point of view, I can probably digitally know that, how much is your data appetite and how many hooks and connections and what payments that you're doing. So you're digitally profiled. But just imagine if I have to, look at it from the same lens and imagine that what has been your carbon footprinting, how much of an industrial waste that you have produced throughout your life, how much of, the smiles or tears, how much of, the friendships, bonds, memories that you are leaving behind. The choice is not that, whether you are going to leave memory. The only choice is how, right? So hence, when you are saying that planet, it is climate change from the sustainability point of view. When you are talking about planet, there are many things that we can make our individual squirrels contributions. But what is more important is that if we live with that thought every day, that what are you going to leave behind as a legacy? The choice is not that whether you want to leave anything behind. How is the choice? And hence, when you put these three things together, the people, profit and planet, and then also correlate it with your phases of life, try to bring in that balancing act in your day-to-day life, right? Life is otherwise easy. Live like like you're celebrating it. Don't live it as a punishment, right? So when you're living, your living becomes more graceful, right? And then we are seeing that there are so many things that are actually bringing in that inclusion. So with the payment gateway story that we are looking at, so the digital actually brought everybody together. People started, whether it is videos and reels and social connectivity. And just imagine that today people are connected to people, people are connected with things, things are connected with people again. And then we are, the communication is no longer inaccessible or unaffordable, right? It is happening. How you connect is becoming, more choice. And then when you're connecting, how do we understand things? So just let me give you a one sentence phrase that, when you're actually generating your identity, or probably, you're generating so to say a data in technical terms in every connection, every interaction, every transaction, every observation, and every intervention. Now, if you just put these things, the softwares are writing in itself and machines are learning. Now understand that there are companies that are actually having a profit goals through their machine learning algorithms, what you're buying and consuming, where you are and what you're doing and what is your likely to be future. You need to have some control of your life, that you should drive it, not only be driven by the other agenda. Otherwise, what we are going to give to our next generation, when they will look at the land that we are looking at, just Google this, the plastic waste on earth, and search for images, and I'm sure you'll understand the point I'm making, right? So are we really evolving as individuals and society, or we are just contributing some recklessness? And hence I think it is very important that we have dialogues on these kind of topics. It is more heartening to see that there is much more younger generation participation here, rather than only the oldies like us actually talking and giving the synthesis. But you have, you are in that first 25 years of your career span or lifespan. There is a lot that you can do right, and rather than being driven, drive it. So thank you very much for having us here, and we are looking forward to questions.
Thank you. And just picking up on what you said about the Tata Group, the current chairman of the Tata Group recently stated that we're no longer shooting for the moon. We've already accomplished that. It's now time to shoot beyond. And that's what the students, that's what you need to do. You're not shooting for the moon anymore. Remember that. So been there, done that. It's time to think bigger. Well, at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. Do we still have till 1:30? We can take a few questions. Is there a microphone in the room? I don't know if there's, if not, so begin with the first question. Say it loudly and I'll repeat it if it's not loud enough.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
And I'm sorry, introduce yourself. Here.
Am I audible? Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Greshma. I'm from Kerala and the founder of EcoPeace Teen Cafe. It's an online transformative education program for teenagers. And I'm working on for peace building for many years, started as a teenager and particularly focusing on faith and climate actions. So I always very curious when business and peace building goes together. So as a peace builder, like we always say, like we are underfunded, we have to raise funds, and sometimes we have no funds to do initiatives, but anyway we say like, let's do it. So that's our motto. So I'm so happy to see like business people talking about peace, and also I'm so happy like how tourism and peace building is going together, and it gives like lots of innovative ideas also. So I really wanted to hear, and I'm so curious, like when we as peace builders or we talking about international peace building organization, our main challenge is funding. So I hope as business people, you have like lots of profits to do more initiatives. So when you talk about peace building, what are your challenges? Is it so easy to talk about equity and inclusivity in a big or like GN business community, or do you face any challenges in the implementation part of creating more inclusive spaces and creating more peace in your communities? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And I had the pleasure to meet her yesterday. So first, I would just like to thank her for all the work that she has done and everything that she shared with me yesterday. It's very inspirational, starting as a teenager. So congrats to you on that. So yeah, I think like with the global recession happening right now, it has been tough for even bigger companies to be able to put as much effort in that sense, like, to put as much budget in that. But the one thing that I feel was consistent, at least with Salesforce, I can say, was their priority never changed. And their priority to have the meditation rooms, the maternity rooms, or having the employee giving back scheme, which we have. So multiple times, if you are doing enough volunteering, if you put in 40 or 60 hours of volunteer time, they give you a budget to which you can donate to any of the firms that you would like. So I would request you to get in touch, like maybe we can have that set up with the Salesforce Giving Back program and see what we can do there. Because as employees, if they're giving enough hours, they can give back to their favorite firms. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Adil. I'm Chief Vision Officer for Swaniti Policy Research Center. I have like multiple questions here, but I will like choose one. So big corporate houses is easy to adopt the interfaith practices. But what about the MSMEs, the cottage industries and the small industries? In India, like the huge amount of workforce is employed in such industries. So how would you promote the interfaith practices in the MSMEs?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for that question. I'll just answer your question with a question. Have you heard about Bollywood?
Yeah.
Do you know that there are movies which are produced with as low a budget as 2 lakh rupees and as high as a budget as 200 crore rupees? And in Bollywood, have you ever thought about whether the actor is a Muslim or a Hindu, or whether the singer is, you see, the whole concept of how people work together with a focus of achieving results, okay, irrespective of your size, irrespective of who you are, okay. And in case you don't make it to the Bollywood industry, look up the travel and tourism industry, okay. The demonstration that sir just gave, okay, on yoga, okay, it's going to be a $40 billion industry in the next 10 years, okay. The example that Brian just gave about the Canadian Prime Minister doing selfie, with a good resolution. Let me tell you, actually the patent needs to be filed by the Prime Minister of India for selfies. And the example that Prashant gave us about, the NPI, okay? Today NPI does 10 billion transactions a week, which is 5 times that America does in a month. So I think, and you know what is the budget of NPI incidentally? Dilip Asbe, who's the managing director of NPI, started with a budget of 1 crore rupees, my dear friend. So I don't think the concept of MSME, it's in the mind, blow it out.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Prab Noorkar, student of MIT World Peace University. I am pursuing BBA. My question is that, is it really important to include religion in workplace? As there are some people who get easily offended, which are of like old mindset. And they somehow are very unwilling they're very unwilling to uphold the scientific spirit, which is very important as a part of our fundamental duties of our constitution.
Maybe I'll speak just from a global perspective, and then if another wants to speak from the Indian perspective. But what we've found is that when you open the door to faith without it being compulsory, you don't want to make people have to do religion at work. But also you don't want to make people feel like they're unwelcome because of their religion. So the business case, I'll give one example of the business case of why opening the door to religion in a voluntary way for everyone works. At Intel Corporation, they have 9 different faith employee groups, including for Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, Jews, even atheist agnostics, they have a group. Well, the leader of Intel in Costa Rica, which is a mostly Christian country in Latin America, he got assigned to work in Malaysia, which is a Muslim majority country. And his name's Pedro, and he freaked out. He said, I don't even know a Muslim. If I go to Malaysia, I might step on a landmine and do cultural things that are terrible, and I don't know if I can be successful. So he reached out to the head of Intel's Christian group, a guy named Craig Carter, and Craig said, okay, Pedro, let me introduce you to Hadi Sharifi. He's the head of the Muslim group at Intel. And then he asked Hadi, could you help him? And Hadi said, sure. And then Hadi started to coach him, just volunteer to coach Pedro. And now Pedro has a successful project in Malaysia with no fear, because now he understands. And recently there was a Wall Street Journal article talking about all of this. And I talked to the reporter and told him the same story. And he said, well, I need to verify. So I introduced him to Hadi, and he asked, Hadi, is this true? He said, well, yeah, that's true. Plus, since then, all the time people are asking me, help me understand how to work in this Muslim majority country. So when you open the door to faith, you have to be clear, it's not about doing a church in the workplace or a mosque or a synagogue or a temple. It's not that. It's about people's identity being recognized. And so it's not about bringing religion into the workplace. It's already there, right? People of faith are filling the companies. It's just saying, we value you. So I think if you say we're going to bring religion in, I don't think that's the right way to think. But religion's in, we have to make people feel welcome. It's about people and their faiths. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Brian, can I?
Yeah, please.
That's a very good point, and as a student, probably my 2 cents on that as an advice is, see, religion and religiousness are 2 separate things. Religion is not in our hands, and you're probably born with your identity, and that is what he was referring to. And you should be proud about it. You should preserve the values. But what religiousness is, that it's like making a coffee. What is a blend? And when you are being proud about it, so do others. So when are you moving in the society, do you respect others while you are proud about what you are? And now that is a very tricky question. It's like when you drop a pebble, there is a rippling effect. Sometimes people want a rippling effect, that's why they drop a pebble, but where do you drop? And what happens in the connected world, somebody is doing something, it actually has an amplifying effect with less literacy or patience, and that creates a turbulence. And then others think that, oh, let me go on a back foot, and then we start creating imbalance, right? At the same time, let me give you the perspective that how you should maintain that balance and be happy about what you are. But rather than giving the religious example, let me give you the regional example, right? There was a TV debate that was happening in mid-90s on a very popular American channel, and there was an American lady that was making an argument, and it was actually, debate about C.K. Prahlad's book that was launched on the fortune of bottom of pyramid. And it was talking about, India outsourcing, and, the lady had a view that India is taking away our jobs, right? And economies are flattening, but, there are some jobs that are moving somewhere, and that was actually creating some economic insecurities to them. And she was like making an argument that, why these jobs are going. So another fellow panelist said that the jobs are going there because there is a competent, skilled, and available workforce, and the American companies wants to be competitive, hence jobs are shifting there. So they said, yes, but they are actually, we are losing our jobs, and what do we do? I said, you are losing jobs probably because you have to, learn, upgrade yourself. And, she made a very interesting comment. Now she said that how can we compete with the nation, because by being born American, I'm dealing with only one language, and that's English. But most of the Indians, by virtue of being born in India, they have their mother tongue. In my case, it is Marathi. Then they have a national language, Hindi, and then third language is English. So average Indian will have, he deals with 3 languages even when they're going to a primary school or graduating engineering, and that is what makes them learn software programming languages, and they learn 5, 6, software languages. How do you compete with them? The fellow panelists just smiled at them, right? So religion and religiousness is separate. Don't let people take you for a ride, but always somebody, said that wear that smile on a face, that's the solution to many problems.
Thank you, sir.
So we come to the conclusion of Q&A now. Finally, I truly believe this session has expanded our perspective altogether. A relation I myself could not completely understand between religion and business, but today I can proudly say that I, along with my fellow peers, have learned something that could really not be found that easily in a conventional method. Rather, the best explanation comes from experience and hard work. Thus, I think our panelists here deserve a huge round of applause for commanding this absolutely enthralling session. Finally, I have Dr. Ravi Shankar Sahu here to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vishwesh. On behalf of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, I would like to propose a vote of thanks, first and foremost, to the moderator of the session, Brian, helping us understand how we can celebrate differences. Then we had Suki, a very Japanese name for a moment, I thought, but then I understood that she is Punjabi. I was expecting Sukhwinder, so it's a very, for a moment I thought Suki, maybe she married an Indian, then she became a Singh. But thank you for letting us understand how we can respect our own faith and then respect everybody else's faith, especially at workplaces. Kiran wonderfully put how travel and our willingness to explore the world can bring us more closer to various faith and differences and culture and more people, and that can basically bring peace in the world. Harshal, thanks a lot for that heartfulness session with us all, and I'm sure a lot of people are now closer to the different people sitting around us. Prashant ji, bahut shukriya for taking us through the journey of people, profit and planet in this connected world. And I'm sure through this connected world, it is contributing towards peace and absolutely prosperous world through business. So business is definitely helping us become more prosperous and a flourishing world, basically. And when we have a big group of all the haves and not have-nots, I'm sure people will come together, celebrate differences. A very insightful discussion. Thanks a lot for wonderful questions as well. So, again, on behalf of MIT World Peace University, I thank the audience, all the wonderful audience and learned people sitting here, sharing their valuable time with us, the students from MIT, BBA, and BFI. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Before everyone leaves, I'd like to make a few announcements. So I need to have you seated for 2 more minutes, just 2 minutes. I'll give you an introduction on just the topics which are being discussed right now at 2 p.m. So we have session 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D in Mahatma Gandhi Hall, where we have topics from vulnerable communities, leaving no one behind, perspectives on Indian national education policy, peace building and social peace, and food security. Finally, for lunch, students, you can please proceed to the Pandal. Faculty and delegates will go to the library at the VIP section. Inform the LOs. Are there any licensing officers here? Can I have a raise of hands? Yeah. LOs, please take the delegates to the food venues. That's it. Thank you so much for this session. Everyone, you've been a wonderful audience. So thank